Yes, mate, so how's it going? My name's Lee, and welcome back to the FPL Punk YouTube channel. Sorry I've not been very active recently, I've just been really busy, but anyway, enough of that. In today's video, I'll be taking a look at transfer targets we should be looking at for game weeks 32 to 34. However, the plays that you do look at depends on your chip strategy, which we'll discuss throughout the video. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe down below for more FPL content. Anyway, let's rock and roll.
Be strong.
Mates, before we specifically look at some players, I wanted to look at the fixtures between game weeks 32 and 34. And obviously, we know a lot of teams double in game weeks 32 or 33. However, the teams that do double in 33 also blank in 34. So depending on what chip strategy that you've got coming up, a lot of the players I'm going to look to recommend today, I'm mainly going to be focusing on the teams that double in 33 and 32. So depending on if you are going to play free hit or not in 34, depends on whether you're going to look at the majority of these players. Outside of the team that double, there's probably not too many that I would recommend. I still really like the Liverpool players, and regardless of who they play, they're going to be fine to own and to play every single week. Like the likes of Salah, Van Dijk, Alisson, probably take a punt on a few other ones that I wouldn't really like to mention right now, but there's still decent players outside of that. Nottingham Forest are still really good, like a Milenkovic is still really good. It's a shame that Aina's got injured. Sells is still really good if you need a goalkeeper. Still really like Brighton and Chelsea players there as well. Gone a little bit off Palmer just because he seems a little bit out of form, but whether he can reignite that in game week 32 up against Ipswich remains to be seen. But I still really like Chelsea's fixtures over the next three, and if you're not looking to free hit, they've also got a fixture in 34 as well. So kind of keep that in mind as I'm discussing players throughout this video, that a lot of them will be doubling in 33 and do blank in 34. And if that's the case, if you've got a lot of players who do double in 33, you're obviously not going to play in 34, and that's probably where you should look to free hit. Anyway, let's take a look at the first team and the first lot of players within Arsenal. So first up, we've got Arsenal players, and between game weeks 32, they play Brentford at home in game week 32. Got a really nice double, probably the best double in game week 33. Ipswich away and Crystal Palace at home. Then they also blank in game week 34. So like I said, I do keep that in mind. Like if you are going to look to buy Arsenal players either now or next week, they do blank in game week 34. So you might have to free hit if you've got nothing else for game week 34. Like obviously, like the best player to pick is Saka. He's not started 2 games in a row now. The Arsenal Everton game is about half an hour in. I think Trossard's just scored, and Saka's not started, so it feels a little bit risky now. He's obviously still their best player, and I think he will be fine for game week 33. However, they have got a tough Champions League draw against Real Madrid, and he might be rested in around this kind of period to kind of help with the Champions League games. I think if you've already got Saka, or you've got someone like a Gabriel who's now injured, I think looking at a Kivior feels a little bit risky right now. Like it wouldn't surprise me if you move Ben White from right back to centre back and play Thomas Partey right back instead. Or they've still got someone like Turner who could play on the right, like even though he's a left-footed left back. Feels like they've got options there. Kivior feels a little bit risky, and I think if you can get to the safer Saliba, that's the one that I would recommend instead. However, like probably the best option from a defensive point of view now that Gabriel is out feels like David Raya. He's the cheapest at 5.5 million. Going to start every single week. Doesn't score massive points every single week, but you know he's going to start, and that's better than nothing. Marino looks like he's playing centre mid against Everton, which is a little bit disappointing because it looks like he's been playing this false 9 recently. I would have liked him more, but I made these graphics before the Everton game, and maybe feels a little bit risky that he's not even going to play that position further forward. He's massive, 6'5", 6'4", whatever. Great from set pieces, decent in the air. Really like him as an option. Martinelli feels like a bit of a kind of like a wild card, risky one, but I like his upside. Not been in great form all season, but I feel like if he can get back to his best over these next 3 games against Brentford, Ipswich and Crystal Palace, he could get massive points. And for someone like me, who has tripled up on Arsenal, who has got Saka, Raya, and Gabriel, I haven't transferred Gabriel yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to get another Arsenal defensive asset. If I am, it's probably going to be Kivior, but I would like more reassurances that Kivior is the first choice centre back. Not sure which way they're going to go, and if that's the case, I might take a gamble on someone like a Martinelli in midfield, move some things around, and go for someone cheaper in the defence. Moving on to Crystal Palace, and what I really like about Palace is the fact that they've got a double. In game week 32, they've got Man City away, Newcastle away, then the double again in game week 33, Bournemouth at home, and Arsenal away. Albeit, they're all terrible fixtures. Like, I think all of them are I think they're all going to be a really tough game for Crystal Palace. But I like them from an attacking point of view. Man City haven't been defending particularly well. Newcastle hit and miss away from home. Bournemouth are probably the only team that I think they might struggle against from like all over the pitch because they're so good. And Arsenal, they do concede the odd goal here and there, and it's like one of those kind of like random London derbies that no one really cares about, but kind of is what it is. They've just got some really good players, and they've been playing great since Christmas. I prefer them from an attacking point of view, and that's the reason why I've gone for Mateta as like the main player that I'd be looking at. Coming back from his injury, still doesn't look 100% right. However, the fact they've got 4 games in 2 weeks, I just can't move away from it. Like, I just don't see a world in that Mateta doesn't score 2 goals over the next 4 games. Like he's that type of striker, so like it wouldn't surprise me. Eze's next. I love Eze just as an overall player. He's probably not great from an FPL point of view, but he's just an absolute baller, mate. He's class. Munoz, probably there's no fixture on there that I don't think they could keep a clean sheet in. But he's just so great from an attacking point of view, and I think his ownership's going to be so high over this period that I think you almost kind of need him. Ismail Assar, I think he's better than Eze in a way because of his price point. So much more cheaper. Feels like he's the one getting on the end of things as opposed to Eze's the creator. And then they got Henderson as well. Just a safe bet. Like you know he's going to play. He's going to play 90 minutes in all 4 games. That's the reason why he's on there as well. I think Palace, they've got a lot of good about them. Just the quality of fixtures are just so bad for Palace. I think they're all really tough games, and that's the reason that will put me off a little bit, and the fact that they do blank in 34. So if you're not going to free hit in 34, just have a little plan. Like if you are going to triple up on Palace, to make sure that you have got a plan for all that. But it is hard to ignore the back-to-back double-double. I think if you've got your assistant manager chip, that's like perfect time to go for Glasner, where they've got a table bonus against all of them. I think. Well, I think I might have got the table wrong in my head, but I think they've got a table bonus against all of these teams, and that's just way too hard to ignore. Overall, I'd have at least 2 Palace, even if you are not going to free hit in Game Week 34. It's just hard to ignore the attacking threat that Palace do pose. Mateta and Eze, Mateta and Sard probably go for. Yeah, really like them. Double coming up. Next up, we've got Aston Villa, and the fixtures, they've got Southampton away in Game Week 32. Newcastle at home in 33, and the double in 33 as well, where they've got Man City away, but they do blank again in Game Week 34. And this is a little tough one, where I think Rodgers is a safe bet from an attacking point of view, but I just love the upside of Rashford. If you can get between 70 and 75 minutes in every single game from Rashford, like he's the one I'd go for. I think he can be electric on his day, and he has looked good for Villa ever since he's come in on loan. I just don't know how they're going to use him, whether it's going to be exclusively Champions League and the odd bit of minutes here and there. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if he plays 20 minutes versus Southampton, maybe starts either Newcastle or City, and then they rest him for the rest of it. Like, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Rodgers feels the safer one. I do like Asensio as well, but same as Rashford. Minutes feel risky. Concert at 4.4 million, it just feels like an absolute lock-in. I think if you're looking for a Gabriel replacement and you're trying to save money, something like Konza makes so much sense. It'd be really interesting to see when we do get up to 32 and 33 whether Watkins is fit and he is going to be playing, because they don't have a lot of options in that number 9 role. And if Watkins is going to play 90 minutes in every single one of these games, I'd be tempted to look at maybe something like an Isak down to a Watkins in 33. That's something that I have thought about. And for someone like me that is going to free hit in 34, then I could get Isak back in the free hit for 34 there as well. Feels quite nice to kind of do something like that, but I'm not convinced Watkins will play 90 minutes in all the games. And as a result of that, makes me probably not want to go for it. Probably not on penalties as well. That's probably going to go to some like a Tielemans. John McGinn's taken some in the past, so that doesn't really feel good. If Rashford's on the pitch, maybe Rashford gets the penalties, so they probably got one of the tougher doubles in Game Week 33, but a double's double, and if you do need someone cheap, still like Rodgers in midfield, still like Konza in defence. I mean, Martinez is still really good, but I do like the upside of Rashford. Just feels a little bit risky. Next up, we've got Man City, who have got Crystal Palace at home in Game Week 32, and in the double in Game Week 33, they've got Everton away and Aston Villa at home. obviously blank again in Game Week 34 because they're doubling Game Week 33. And the main player I'd be looking to buy is Mamouche. Probably on penalties, probably playing number 9. I like a lot of the things that he does. He's just a great player, mate. He absolutely ripped it up in the Bundesliga. He's already scored a hat-trick in the Premier League. Scored in Game Week 30. I think if you've already got Mamouche and you want to double or triple up on the Man City players, I still like Gvardiol. Not great defensively, but Gvardiol does offer attacking threat from his defensive positions. Whether that's from set pieces or playing left back and kind of cutting in and doing what he does. Savio, really like him from a price point of view. He's kind of like a Mahrez clone. And as long as he gets minutes and as long as he keeps playing, I think he's just going to cause a lot of problems, whether that's from goals or assists. I think he can do both. Phil Foden feels just... It's so hard with Foden because I don't understand the drop-off of him. He gets Player of the Year last year. Goes away with England, was horrendous with England. Like, anonymous. Never seen a player drop off so much when it comes to England. It kind of reminds me of kind of the old school M2000 days when all the England players would go to England and just not perform. But there's still a player in there. Like he's still, like, considering the amount of minutes he's got, like he's still done okay this season. 9.2 million, a lot of money. Is he worth 3 million more than Savion? Probably not. Doku feels an outside shot of whether he's going to get minutes or not. Jack Grealish came back and scored recently. Whether you could go for that, I'm not convinced once again. Like, I'm not convinced Grealish is the answer for them. Foden, if he gets minutes, he's good. It remains to be seen whether he's going to get minutes in the Manchester derby this weekend. And that might change the whole kind of perspective of it. Like if he comes in, plays well against United, gets a goal or two. I think we're going to beat them, by the way. I think we're going to beat them 2-1. It's the type of game that United tend to do pretty well in. We struggle against the likes of Everton and Crystal Palace and Wolves, but then we go and draw against Liverpool and beat Man City. That's the kind of thing we do right now. We're pretty good in the big games. Like, we can get up for the big games and we can play well in the big games. It's these mid-table teams away, or these relegation fighting teams are the ones that I think we struggle against. So it won't surprise me if we play well against City and we end up beating City 1-0, 2-1, something like that. But whether their goal can come from Foden, that'd be quite nice from my perspective, because I own Foden in FPL, and it's a hard one because, like, I really want to own him. I really want him to do well, but the minutes just aren't there right now. Feels a little bit risky, but if you fancy the risk, I feel like it's a high risk, high reward spot, and if you want to go for it, do it, mate, because I think there's a chance that it could come off. The last team I wanted to discuss was Newcastle, and what I like about these is the fact that they double in Game Week 32. They've got a single in Game Week 33 away to Aston Villa, but then they also play in Game Week 34 at home to Ipswich, prime fixture. So I think you've got two options with these. I think you either triple up on them now, or Game Week 32 where they're playing Man United at home, Crystal Palace at home. They're great at home. I'd be happy tripling up on any of these players. Isak is obviously the number one, and if you haven't got him, like, I think you need him for this prime captaincy shout for Game Week 32. Then you could either keep him for 33 and 34 if you don't plan to free hit in Game Week 34, or you could sell all your Newcastle assets in Game Week 33. Either triple on the rest of the teams that we've already discussed, or look at some other players, and then if you are going to free hit in Game Week 34, free hit all these players back in, and then you've got him for that Ipswich fixture, which I really, really like. That might be my plan. I'm already tripled up on Newcastle for 32, so I've got Isak, Murphy, and Dan Burn. I would love to get Anthony Gordon. I think Harvey Barnes is playing really well. I would go for Livramento over Burn, but I just couldn't afford it. Like, I was completely maxed out and I had to go for Burn over Livramento. Dan Burn is on 8 yellow cards, but he only needs to get through the next 2 or 3 games until that kind of resets for the final few games of the season. So, like, I'm not concerned about that. Absolutely massive, great from set pieces. Trippier's kind of an outside shot, and if he can stay fit, then I would consider Trippier even more, but we don't know how fit he is going to be. And we all know how good Trippier can be, so that's something to keep an eye on. Especially for me, yeah. So I'm tripled up on Newcastle. I'm going to own them for 32. Play them all in 32. Maybe look to sell a couple of them in Game Week 33. I might just keep Isak because he can still perform in any single game. So, like, I might sell the likes of Dan Burn and Murphy maybe look at some Aston Villa players, whether that's Rashford and Konza, as well as sell Gabriel to be able to fund those moves, and then free hit all my Newcastle players back in for game week 34. If that's your kind of plan, leave a comment down below. I think it's good. I think it works really well. Depending on when you, depending on when you went to bench boost as well, that might play into your hand and work really well for you. So I think that's definitely a mini kind of chip strategy kind of think about there. Alright, make sure before we wrap up the video, we've only really discussed double game week players for 32 and 33, and I think now's a good time to start kind of planning for it, because you can get them in a little bit earlier, especially the Aston Villa players or the Arsenal players that have got a good fixture in game week 32 as well, so you're kind of getting them prepared for 33. Just keep that blank in mind for game week 34. I'm going to have maybe 2 or 3 players for game week 34, so I don't see a world in where I don't free hit, so I will release a free hit video around the end of game week 33 to kind of show you what I'm thinking about for game week 34. I think I'm tripling up on Newcastle for 32, and either keeping them for 33 and then free hitting, or doing whatever you want in 34 is a viable option. But for me, I'm going to keep my triple up in 32, sell at least 2 of them, probably Jacob Murphy and Dan Burn, like I mentioned before, and then free hit them all back in for game week 34. Probably seems like the best bet for me right now. I'm going to bench boost either 32 or 33. Not 100% set on which one right now, because I've got Areola from West Ham. Great fixture in 33, terrible fixture in 32. And then I've got Lewis Dunk. Great fixture in 32, okay fixture in 33. So that seems kind of like, that might be the deciding factor whether I want to go for a Lewis Dunk bench boost in 32 or an Areola bench boost in 33. And I can obviously make some moves and kind of help that decision either way, but that's where I'm kind of leaning right now. As I mentioned at the start of the video, if you're not looking to free hit in 34, maybe avoid a lot of the players that double in 33 and look at either tripping up on Newcastle and keeping all of those, or even looking at players that have got 3 fixtures over the next 3, which is everyone else outside of the doubles, whether that's Chelsea and you're going for like a Palmer or like a Cucurella or Brighton. João Pedro just feels minute risks, so I wouldn't really want to go there. I still don't mind Bournemouth. We've got Fulham, Crystal Palace and Man United at home over the next 3. I still don't mind Nottingham Forest, like I mentioned earlier. Matt Sells, Milenkovic, Alanga, Gibbs White, Chris Wood if he's back. There's still some decent options out there. I think Cunha's going to be back relatively soon. I think he misses 32 but back for 33. And this is the type of game that Man United struggle in, so like he might become an option in game week 33 and game week 34. Yeah, if I've missed anyone, leave a comment down below, but I'm looking for double game week players. Right, mates, that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. So today we looked at some transfer targets for the period between game week 32 and 34, trying to discuss some chip strategies throughout, and a lot of the players that you are going to look to buy between 32 and 33. You need to keep 34 in mind and whether you're going to free hit in 34 or not, because if you do, that dictates the type of player you should be looking at. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like and drop a comment down below. Have a good day. Peace and love.